Hey guys, welcome to this week's Roundup. I have a really fun interview with Jochen from ArcadeForge, and also a bunch of the usual stuff as well, so let's jump right into the news. First up, it looks like Toys R Us's Canadian online store accidentally leaked the price of the Nintendo Switch. It should be about $250 US or $330 Canadian dollars, and that seems about right for something like that, so hopefully that's the correct price, and that's what we could expect to pay this spring. Next, somebody emailed me and said that they had purchased a 32X adapter cable from somebody on eBay, not one of the normal sellers, just a random eBay seller, and it was actually wired wrong. So I kind of redid my entire 32X page to reflect this, but basically, if you're going to make those adapter cables that go from the Genesis to the 32X, anything that connects directly between the two should not have its 5-volt pin connected. You shouldn't be feeding 5 volts through the AV port to the 32X, or you could damage it. I actually double-checked with Steve from HD Retrovision, and he was nice enough to do a little write-up, which I posted right on the page, that explains, technically speaking, why you shouldn't do that. And I guess a few people had bought cables that had that pin connected. So I guess the general rule to remember is if you're just making one of those female pigtail adapters, the ones that essentially turns your Genesis 1 into a Genesis 2, because just AV port, of course, that has to have all the pins populated, because you want to feed everything to your SCART cable, everything to the HD Retrovision cables, or to this adapter. Then the adapter that goes from that female adapter to the 32X, that's the one that shouldn't have a 5-volt cable. Or, like I said just now, any direct connect cables that go between them should not have the 5 volts. So I know it's a little confusing, but blame Sega for all this. All their peripherals, their terrible documentation. I mean, even the Sega CD. I remember reading the manual when I was a kid, and the manual kind of implied that you had to hook up different audio, but you don't. You just plug your Genesis on, and all of the audio goes through it. So yeah, check out those pages if you want more details, but I just figured I'd give everybody a heads up that if you're using one of those 32X adapter cables, maybe just use a multimeter to double check that 5-volt pin is not connected. A new Sega Genesis game called Tanglewood is up on Kickstarter for release about a year from now. I actually love all of these side-scrolling retro-styled games. It doesn't really matter what console it's on. It could even be on one of the newer ones. But the fact that they're putting it on an actual Genesis cartridge is pretty cool, and I like stuff like this. They're claiming for about a November or December release date of next year, so about a year from now, which is fine. I just, so many of these Kickstarters, triple and quadruple their target date. There's not much communication. I'd much rather have somebody say it's going to be 18 months, and then you get a monthly update on our progress, and you could cancel at any time. Because there's so many of these games that have been out for Kickstarter. Like that 90s Arcade Racer. It's now been a year since the last update on their Kickstarter page. 1 year. So, I want to back this, but I'm always just weary to do so, because I've backed so many and got nothing out of it. I posted on the forum the other day, and somebody was mad because I guess my post was a little snippy, but even a hardware thing that looked completed, it looked done. It looked like all they had to do was go to manufacturing, and was supposed to be released last May. I still don't have it. So, I don't know. Post your thoughts on that in the comments, but the game looks very cool. I hope it gets made, and I just wish there was a better way to go about some of these Kickstarter things, because I get my hopes up, and then I never get what I paid for. A user on the Assembler Games forum decided he wasn't going to stand for that short NES Classic cable, so he actually replaced the cable with one from a USB cable. He put the tutorial up, which I'll link to, and it looks pretty easy. Just know that you're essentially now destroying the original cable from your NES Classic controller. That wouldn't bother me at all, but it's pretty much an irreversible thing. But it looks very easy to do, and he did a great job in the tutorial of it. And now it's a normal-sized cable, and he said he didn't see any negative effects of it. So, cool tutorial, and if anybody is insisting on playing their NES Classic, then you should probably either get an extension cable or do something like this to it. And speaking of the NES Classic, it looks like hackers have been able to install Linux on it and start to pick away at some of the software itself. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure if it'll ever end up in like a true jailbreak where you could add your own ROMs or change stuff around, but I like to hack everything. So this is just another fun thing to add to the list, and hopefully they'll make some progress with it. Nintendo announced that its first official mobile game, Super Mario Run, will be out on iOS devices on December 15th for about $10, I think $9.99. So that's kind of neat that they're actually making progress and starting to go into the mobile market. I don't know if I want to spend $10 on an Infinite Run game when you could play stuff like Jetpack Joyride for free, but we'll see. I'm sure Francisco, the Game Hunter, is going to review it the day it comes out, and I'll base my decision on him because he's usually spot on with his reviews. It looks like Firebrand X has made more progress reverse engineering the NES Classic color palette. And just a very quick explanation why this is important. When the Nintendo home console was released, it only outputted composite video, and its color palette was based on the composite video color patterns. Probably saying this wrong, but bear with me. The RGB chips generated color in the RGB spectrum, so the colors didn't match up. That's why the PlayChoice 10 games didn't really look the same, and that's why you have to have a custom color palette in order to make it look similar to how it did through composite video. Well, Firebrand X has been working on this for a long time, and what he calls his unsaturated color palette can be put on most devices, like your NES RGB, and I think the AVS has it, and hopefully the high-def NES will be able to have it as well. And you'll be able to put it on and kind of have it look more like a true Nintendo in composite than it would in RGB. So the NES Classic is obviously Nintendo's official take on this and how they wanted to go about taking those colors and putting them through the RGB spectrum. So that's why, to have this choice is pretty cool. And there's also somebody whose screen name is RGB Source who's working on his own version of this. And it actually seems kind of similar to what Firebrand X is doing, but I like that more people are jumping into this. Not to take away from Firebrand X's work, of course, but, the more eyes you have on something, the better chance of getting it even better. So lots of great work, and hopefully these color palettes will be available on all devices within a few months, but I'll keep everybody updated. So it looks like we might be one step closer to having a backlit Game Boy Color. Sort of. So the Game Boy Color screens themselves cannot be backlit. You can only put a front light on them, which, in my opinion, doesn't really look that great. It's better than nothing, I guess. But an alternative that Ben Ven Electronics has come up with is making an adapter board that allows you to use a Game Boy Advance backlit screen from the AGS 101 on the Game Boy Color. So I guess Ben Ven's invention basically takes the signal and converts it to be compatible with the AGS 101 screen. So when you install it, you actually are only using a small portion, but you could install it inside your Game Boy Color and have it look like it fits correctly. So I don't really like the fact that you have to cannibalize an AGS 101 to do it, but it certainly is a step in the right direction. Also, there's some strange effects with that screen that, it's not that it's bad, but you do get shimmering when you have vertical scrolling, so I'm wondering how that's going to be affected with Game Boy Color. Actually, My Life in Gaming has a Game Boy episode coming up pretty soon that kind of goes into detail about all this, so you'll see what I mean about the shimmering pretty soon. But anyway, it's better than nothing, and I'm glad there's at least some progress being made. Very soon, people will be able to participate in a live-action Zelda game called Defenders of the Triforce. So there's a company that does real escape games, and I believe it's called Scrap. So this is called Scrap Zelda. And basically, you get a bunch of people in a room together to try to solve a live-action puzzle thing, which makes sense that they would include Zelda in this because of all the awesome puzzles from the different levels in Zelda games. But I've actually never heard of anything like this before, so maybe if you guys in the comments, if you've done it before, you could post your thoughts, or maybe links to good YouTube videos that explain what it is. But I've never done anything like this before. I never did LARPing or any of that other stuff. I was too busy drinking beer and racing cars and playing heavy metal. But, I'm open to try absolutely anything. So this seems cool. I love Zelda, so I'll certainly sign up when it comes to New York. But definitely post your thoughts about it and let me know what it is, because, like I said, I've never really done anything like this before, and I'm really not sure what to expect other than what's in the description. Mike Moffitt just posted a list of which capacitors to buy if you're doing a cap replacement on a Sony PVM, And Mike talked a lot about CRTs and PVMs and stuff when he was interviewed a couple months ago on this podcast. And I'm really glad he did this because it's basically just a link to DigiKey where you press a button and everything's already in the cart for you and you could just check out. And, I'm sure a lot of the experts, it's not that big a deal to the experts because, it saves you some time, but you would have known what to do anyway. But for guys like me that are not an expert, it's a little intimidating to try to figure out which cap is which. And it's really intimidating to go on DigiKey's website and see that you have about 1,000 choices for each capacitor. So, what's the features or the tolerances that are worth spending the extra money on? What are the exact sizes that you need? And I've done it before, not for PVMs, for much easier things. And it's just really time consuming, and I always end up ordering too much because I'm afraid I'm going to get the wrong one. But it's just really awesome that he would post that in a thread. And now if anybody needs to add or edit or have any thoughts on it, you could just post right in the thread and get your experience on there too. So thanks again to Mike. And this is a big help for anybody that wants to try a cap replacement. But I got to say it again, and I always say it, do not open up a CRT monitor unless you really know what you're doing. Because if you don't know how to properly discharge it, you could probably die from touching it. So, I don't want to sound all dramatic and everything, but seriously, don't pop the back off of any CRT unless you really know what you're doing. So, good luck, and please don't die. It looks like there's been more progress on the Atari RGB mod for the old Atari computers and the Atari 5200. Somebody posted a video of it in action, and it looks great, and the install looks good too, so it looks like it'll be a pretty handy kit to have. Also, it's possible Jason from GameTech might be handling the pre-order sales, which is awesome, because I really like how he was doing the pre-orders for the high-def NES. So right now, you could just go and buy a high-def NES, and if he has them in stock, you get them. If not, you're on the next pre-order list. And if you happen to catch it at the tail end, maybe it's a few months wait, but you don't have to worry. You just pay and walk away, which is awesome. So I hope they let Jason take care of it because he did a great job with the high def NES kits, and he certainly proved that he could handle a high volume of sales. So that would be very cool. And I'm looking to get my hands on this, and maybe I'll actually get a 5200 and play through a couple of games to see what I think of it, which is neat because I've seen 5200s, but I've never played one at all before. So it'll be kind of fun to sit down and just kind of give my thoughts on a brand new experience of a completely old and bit obscure of a console as well. So I'm looking forward to it. Next, I just spoke with Michael from badassconsoles in regards to his GameCube video project, and it looks like the manufacturer is still having issues making the correct flex cable. So there is now a longer delay, and there's really no word on how long it's going to be, but hopefully all these things will get cleaned up pretty quickly and installs will begin as quickly as possible. And it really stinks when things like this happen because it's a manufacturing issue, not a design issue. So there's not much you could have done wrong, but if nothing else, I guess this is a really good learning process, and the next batch, and I guess the rest of the batches, we won't have to worry about this. But it's still chugging away, and it'll still be here eventually, but unfortunately it's just going to be a bit longer of a wait. Stone Age Gamer is now selling the DB graphics booster inside a custom-made hard plastic case. They're calling it the Engine Block AV, and it's essentially exactly like the DB graphics booster with excellent RGB output, S-video, composite, and dual stereo audio-video through RCA jacks. It's just in a really nice-looking custom case for $85. Pre-orders are open right now, and it expects to ship by mid-January. That's just an estimate, so obviously it might take longer, but Stone Age Gamer's usually been pretty good about when they get and deliver stuff like this. So hopefully anybody that pre-orders now could expect them by the end of January. Woozle has sent me an update about his Game Boy Advance TV Out project. He's been trying a different approach, as well as the original fully outputting analog and digital, but he also has kind of a miniaturized version that'll fit right into the GBA itself that just outputs 720p HDMI. So, like I said, he's still planning on doing the full version of it with both analog RGB, probably component and VGA as well, and then also the digital outputs. This is just something that he wanted to work on as well as that. And it's kind of a neat kit. It installs with just a special ribbon cable, and the analogy he gave is that it'll be easier to install than a backlight kit. So I think that's pretty awesome, and that makes it accessible for even more people. And anytime I have any more information on that, I'll definitely keep everybody posted, because that's a mod I'm definitely interested in. And lastly, ArcadeForge released a Pi 2 Jamma board. So I have Jochen on doing the interview with me right after the Q&As, but to give a quick rundown in case anybody, for whatever reason, doesn't want to make it to the interview, I'll tell you what it does, because it's pretty exciting in my opinion. Basically, you buy a Raspberry Pi, and you buy this board, and you download their software package, and you just plug it in, and then plug this into a Jamma connector. And that's it. So all the work I did, I never finished the arcade section of the site, which now I'm kind of glad, because all the work I've done over the years on making custom computerized systems and, I even took Windows Embedded and built my own image for it on my own computer. And while it was great, it's never been as easy as just getting a Raspberry Pi, and it really looks the same, because I spent a lot of time with Groovy Main trying to make mine perfect. This looks great too. And it's just so much easier and so much cheaper in the long run. So it's a really awesome product. And if I still had my arcade machine, this is definitely how I would be using arcade games on it. So hopefully I'll be able to actually get one for review soon. And even if I just use an RGB monitor instead of a full arcade kit, I still want to do a little review on it, because it's just so cool that you could have such an easy thing and cut out so much time and effort. But stay tuned after the Q&A stuff for the interview with Jochen. I had a lot of fun, and hopefully he'll explain more details for anybody that wants it. Okay, on to the Q&As. First up, Too Quick Capri posted a response to last week's question about how do you take the Atari 5200 power adapter and separate it from the RF. And Too Quick Capri posted a link to a great guide on Atari Age that seems to be the perfect answer to the question. So thanks for posting. Next, Electron Ash posted in regards to my discussion with Matt about how do you know if your DVI to VGA cable will support audio. And I don't know what the heck was wrong with me during the interview, because I had completely forgotten that it's all digital. So as long as the DVI port itself outputs audio, so on your video card or on the OSSC, any adapter should work because it's just digital signal. And Ash posted a pretty detailed explanation of why it acts like that. So thanks, Ash. I'm sorry I totally slipped my mind. What a brain fart moment there. But yeah, so I'm actually going to be hopefully doing the audio mod to my OSSC soon, and I'll take pictures and kind of show how that works when I'm done. So thanks for posting that, and I'll try with my basic DVI to VGA cable. Next, we talked a lot last week about better ways to do pre-orders, and Nick from HD Retrovision pointed me to the site Celery, so like the vegetable celery. And the only downside I've found so far is it adds another 2% on top of the normal 3-ish% credit card processing. So that does kind of add a bit more of a cost. And I don't know, maybe I'll try to use it for something the next time I'm involved in a pre-order. But in my opinion, I mean, an extra 2% for that peace of mind is a lot less lost than if you had to refund everybody's money past the refund period, so you had to pay the PayPal fees. So hopefully more people will try to adopt stuff like this. I'll try it out to see if it's any good. I'll try it out to see if it's any good. But I just really like the fact of just going to a website, buying something, and walking away. Especially if everybody's honest about, hey, when you pre-order this, depending on the batch, you might get it in 2 months or 6, no guarantee. That's cool. It's totally fine. And it seems like with this website, Celery, you could cancel your order as well. So hopefully it'll work out. And please, anybody post in the description if you've used this website before. And if it's any good, hopefully we can see if people are willing to try it for their next products, because it just makes everybody's life easier. Next, Mauricio Cresti asked about outputting RGB from an Xbox. So I haven't had time to even start the Xbox page yet, but soon I'm going to do that. Plus I'll talk about how you get Sync on Green RGSB out of it, as well as other options like VGA. But just a basic rundown is there's no way to do any of that without a modification. So if you're using an original unmodded Xbox, just stick with Component. It does output pretty good Component videos, so you shouldn't have any issues with that. But there are ways to output Sync on Green and VGA, and both require both a hardware and a software mod, although I think the sync on grain you just need a modded cable, but the VGA you definitely need to mod on the inside. So I'm not sure how long it'll take me to get to it, but I will eventually have an Xbox page. But for now, just stick to a component, and if you really need to output SCART, just use the Garo by the Behar brothers, which is another review that I have shot, and I just need to edit and post it. So I'm sorry I fell so far behind with everything, but now that the move's over, I'm catching back up, and hopefully I'll get all this stuff up soon enough. And finally, Woozle, the creator of the Analog to Digital SNES mod, as well as a few other things, just posted to update that he had removed the old board that he had on OSH Park and posted a new one because he updated the internal analog amp to a THS 7374, which is smart because those are better quality. And Bordy, the creator of many SNES mods, actually helped him out on it. So he should be able to get a prototype of that relatively soon to start testing. So I'm excited. I can't wait to play my SNES through that converter on my HD TV and see how it looks. But thanks again to Woozle for working on all these crazy projects, and I'll keep everybody posted as soon as there's any more info on when they'll be available, or at least when we get a prototype to test. Okay, up next I have Jochen from ArcadeForge. I had a lot of fun in this interview because he gets just as excited about arcade stuff as I get about old consoles. So, we were just two dorks talking about awesome old retro stuff. It was a lot of fun, and he's got a ton of cool products on his website that are all obviously geared towards arcade things. But the latest one, the one that I talked about in the news, the Pi 2 Jamma, is pretty exciting. And he talked kind of a quick run through of a lot of the stuff that he has for sale. So, and he did it all kind of in short notice. I just emailed him out of the blue and was like, hey, can I do an interview real quick? Your new product looks awesome. And he was great. He was a lot of fun. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And as always, any comments or criticism, fire away in the comments section of the video. And I appreciate everybody's feedback. So take care. I'll see you guys next time. Hey guys, I'm here with Jochen from ArcadeForge. How you doing, man?
Fine.
So thank you very much for doing the interview. I've been a fan of your products for a long time, and I've always meant to reach out to you, but ever since your latest product, that's what really made me do it. But I guess I'd like to start at the beginning. And so I guess the first thing I saw from you a long time ago was the scanline generator.
Yes, this was the first bigger project, the SLG 3000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was very fun. It was very successful and was a lot of fun, and started as a community project in the Arcade Centrum. There was several people in the development, and yes, it's still running very good and was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Now, was that the first product that you put on ArcadeForge?
No, it started mainly with the Dual Strike, I think, and with some Plexi stuff, arcade sticks, and some stuff for modding for C64, Commodore 64, and so on. And I started, I don't know, 2003, 2004 with that stuff, no? And then moved to PCP development, and one of the first projects there was, and then the SLG 3000, and then some of the successors, the Zinc Strike, the UMSA, the SLG in the box, and all of that, and then the keyboard encoder, the key stripe, 1-player, 2-player, all of that.
Now the Sync Strike is something is something that it's been very helpful for a lot of people. I bought one a few years ago, and I mean, it just, especially, I think the number one use for people that don't really know, I don't want to say don't know what they're doing, but I guess aren't comfortable making their own cables, is that was the best solution for a lot of the capture cards, because you could just pop your SCART connector in it and it outputs no problem. Mm-hmm. So is that just using the LM1881 based sync stripper circuit?
Yes, it was very nice, and I've opened the interfaces. I've put there the SCART connector, I put there the DSWP 5 with the VGR connector, and some SKU terminals, so the whole design was very open. Mm-hmm. And I was surprised myself how the usage was of this project itself. Now, you mentioned now the virtual capture card. I never had this in mind. I wanted to make to open the GBS scaler, the upscaler, the Chinese GBS upscaler, and this was the best way. And I put there some interfaces to make it open. for the design, and I had enough place on the PCB, so it came this way.
I originally bought mine because I had an NEC XM29 monitor that only accepts C-Sync. It won't accept composite video or Luma. So it was perfect. I just bought the Sync Strike and then one of those very cheap VGA to BNC cables, and that was a perfect solution. So it ended up saving a lot of money and working. So
the PVM and so on, this was also good use case for the Sync Strike.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, that GBS upscaler that you were talking about, that's not something that you guys designed. That's just something that you made products to go along with it, correct?
Yeah, this was the GBS upscaler was from a Chinese gun-based company, and it worked because it was very cheap and it was a good base for working with. And so to have supplied some upscaler from 15 kilohertz to 31 kilohertz, it was very good. No? So it was very modular. It had several interfaces, so it was fun to work with. No? Of course, it has some downgrades in performance. It's not an XRGB, of course. No? Absolutely clear. Mm-hmm. But for the usage I had in mind was absolutely okay.
Yeah. Well, so out of the, I have your website up here, and there's just a ton of really cool stuff that you guys sell. Is that all? Is that you? Is there a team of people? Is it mostly just you, or?
I had in mind some kind of community library for the German arcade scene. So there was some sort when I'm coming up from the categories from top to down, the arcade bar tops. Yes, it was. I have there one designer who makes the designs for the artworks and such. Some arcade artworks are from me, but anyway, there was an wood professional who made the design with this plugs and this hole. So I'm trying to work as much as possible with professional suppliers here. The buttons. Some stuff from Chinese and from Japan, Zanwa and so on. SLG in a box was made by myself. Supergun Max Strike, the deluxe version in enclosure and so on, was also from me. The gamepad, keyboard encoders, R2, the key strike was made by me, and the software was made from the same developer that developed the Dual Strike. And the Dual Strike was open source and worked with the Xbox Classic, the PS3. MAME keyboard encoder was also very good software, firmware. I had some help there. The multi-game, the SLG 3000 was a community project. The UMSA was a community project. The PE Jamma was developed first for me, and then the PE2 Jamma was again a community project, which is the most recent of my projects here. And so the Jamma adapter was made by myself, the arcade stick and so on also. So I had in mind that all the good ideas which fly around in the German scene or in the Europe scene, I'm trying to put in my shop to have a kind of steady access to that project. Most stuff I see, or the projects I see are online for a year or something, and then they disappear. And so this was the main motivation for ArcadeForge, to have a library of good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was flipping through the page before I started the interview with you, and a ton of awesome arcade stuff. And it's great to have different places around the world for that, because shipping is pretty crazy. So to have some place in Europe that has so many different options for arcade parts is really just helpful for everybody.
Yeah. And, I'm luckily in Germany the postage costs are not so high, so shipping to the States is about €8 something, and this is for the smaller projects, and this is quite awesome. So
yeah,
we can work with two states and UK and France, and this is quite fun. And also to have these open-minded in this day, it's really fun to work with.
Yeah. Well, the thing that caught my eye the other day that I was just really excited about was the Pi 2 Jamma. And I didn't realize you also have the, I guess it's just called the Pi Jamma as well. Could you explain the difference between the two and basically what they're used for? Because they look really awesome.
Yeah, I have this, first is this Jamma, and it was a try for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. And there was, to this time when I developed this, not then a VGA connection, VGA connection for the Raspberry Pi.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was solution which worked, but you needed some adapters for the pictures, and you needed ASON and a USB adapter for 2 players if you try to connect 2 players. And the GPIO pins was limited to 26 pins, so it was only possible to connect 1 player in a good manner. But for the P2 Jamma, I spent a DC15 Neo Geo compatible connection and a DC9 for the Commodore Amiga stuff, plus some buttons and of course screw terminals for the do-it-yourself guys, and breakout interfaces for adapters. So this was a good base, I think, for setting up some retro-based projects, the P Jamma.
Mm-hmm.
But it was dumb. It has no own intelligence. It depends on the adapters which are connected then to this project. And after some years, the GERZ VGA adapter came and so on, opened some kind of VGA connection to the Raspberry Pi. So the circuit was optimized after the time for this GERZ VGA adapter, so it could be used on arcade-based CRT. You need some VGA and color improvement, and there are some, I don't know, I hear the PCB I can show.
Very
here.
cool.
Yeah, there's above downside of the GPIO port, which is here. Here, this is the port. Here's the Raspberry plugged in. Here is, you see it? Yes, no? Okay.
Yep.
Here's the GPIO adapter. Here's some kind of audio interface. Here's the resistance ladder. Here is RGB. I don't know the English word, the RGB improvement.
Mm-hmm.
And here on this side, there are 165 ICs who make shifting for 2-player Jamma with 6 buttons here. No? Here's the screen terminal for kick harness and so on.
Right.
Here's some kind of loudness and adaptation. And yeah, so quite nice project. And this project was a little bit more than what I was used from my other projects, because the soldier points here are very, very much. We have here 3, 5, 6 ICs. We have here about, I don't know, some ESD protection. We are 200 ohm resistors, pull up 10 kilo ohms resistors, and so on. I think they are 500 soldier point. The probability is of course more for failures than in other projects, so you have to invent some test procedures for this and so on and so on.
Right.
So it was really a step forward in making some project and some more sophisticated project, and yeah, it was quite nice. Ne? On the other side is the software. The software is complicated and so on.
Well, the other physical side of the Pi 2 Jamma, that has the actual GPIO connection to plug the Raspberry Pi directly into that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you're still have in front of you, could you show that again? Just because that's the thing that I thought was really great. You just people just buy a Raspberry Pi anywhere that you can get them, and then you just plug this right into it, and then plug this into a Jamma adapter cable, correct? Or into the Jamma cable itself.
I don't know, it's somehow dark, no? But I can here's my with a Raspberry Pi on the bottom side, and I put it to my cap here. You see it?
Your signal's breaking up. There we go. Now I see it.
Oh. Okay, alles klar. Then I can show it in action. I turn off my cap and turn it on. So the Raspberry Pi is booting. You see it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you see it? So that's all. Now we are in auto start routine. Start is there. This was about 10 seconds or something. And the boot up times are very good.
And that's running in 480i or 240p for the menus.
Once again?
What resolution is this menu running in? 240p or 480i?
480p.
Cool. And then the game's running native resolution, I'm assuming, right?
I think so. I think so. 480p also. There are some games, examples, Moon Patrol, which has its own resolution, which are very hard to simulate. But most of them were.
Right, gotcha.
Here. Get it? Oh, I have here. This is one of the caps which has an automatic routine for switching the monitor.
Oh, so that's in the software, so it automatically rotates the monitor?
It's possible to get it in the software, but currently not. No? This is only for caps which has not this feature. No? But this was pretty cool.
Gotcha.
I have a button and then I can put it and I can switch it then. No?
Mm-hmm.
But
so,
nice feature, no?
If I understand you correctly from what you said before, if I had one of those arcade machines that had more than the standard buttons, the Pi 2 Jamma has inputs for the extra buttons, like a Mortal Kombat or a Street Fighter machine, correct?
Absolutely. Yes, that's this breakout. And this breakout, the kick harness breakout, can connect up to 6 buttons each player. So it's no problem to play CPS2, Street Fighter or something. And yes, on the Jamma interface itself, there are 5 buttons, and the 6th button is available via SKU terminals, and just works.
That's very cool. So the original Pi Jamma, the one with the case around it and everything, I guess I'm still not 100% sure what that does. Do you have to? How would you connect the Pi to it? Because I see you have the controller inputs and the Jamma output, and then I see you have both the expansion connector and the where you would put the controllers in. But how would you connect the actual Raspberry Pi itself?
Ribbon cable. There's a ribbon cable which comes with the GPIO adapter, and via the ribbon cable to the other side of the GPIO connector of the Raspberry Pi. You know.
Gotcha. So could you use the same software image on both of these, or is one is the Pi 2 Jamma designed specifically for it?
The Pi Jamma is designed for having one-to-one wire. What this means, each button, each joystick direction is wired to one GPIO pin. The P2 Jamma has here some intelligence. It sets the shift registers, the 74 HCT 165 or what they are called. And inside the software is then a routine which translates this shift registers to the joystick and button signal, to ensure that you can have here some more signals. That's the main difference. So the image itself, or the software itself, is so far is proprietary. This means you can't attach arbitrary image, RetroPie or something like that. Currently, we're working on this to have a device or a daemon who translates the signals into a common joystick or a common keyboard interface. So in future, it should be possible then to use other images as well. Then. Okay. But anyway, currently we are having the aim that we're offering this image on our homepage and can be downloaded. We are offering the emulators FBA, Final Burn Alpha, and MAME, and we're quite good. And we're working with USB patches and USB sticks, and we have some auto start routine on the USB. This means you can leave your complete stuff in the cap, then you put some games, ROMs on the USB sticks, and then the Jamma software searches on the USB stick for the ROM and automatically starts it. What is also a feature is this called patching algorithm. you can configure on your USB stick a patch file, which makes some vertical horizontal orientation or some updates to the software, so we can feed via patch files to the USB stick and the software of CPU to Jamma. Sure, if somebody makes a VLAN or something like that, you can have a shell or something like that.
That's very cool. That's very cool. So is this, you said the software was available for download right on the website?
Currently, yes. I have made, just yesterday I made a new image. The next image is coming. And yeah, the links with the Mega and Z after the pictures. Scroll down to the pictures. And then,
it's in the Pi to Jamma page.
Yeah, genau. Here's the Pi to Jamma page. Then you have the pictures, and then here is the image for download. Here's one patch file. We are working currently to integrate the patch file here in the current download, and then I think in the end of the week, we make here a new image file, and it's password protected, so we're giving the password then to the customers. No?
Gotcha. So can people try to use these boards as well, just to hook them up directly to an RGB monitor, like a Sony PVM or something like that?
Yeah, sure. I made this. This is my main testing routine because I do not want to test on the cab itself.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I have to make some more sophisticated testing, and so I'm using a Supergun Max for testing. And this can be also made then for others. No? If they have an Mac at home, then they connect to the Mac, just RetroRGB and PVM or whatever. No? Just talking about the things like it's possible. We are the normal Supergun to have a SCART connection to this project. No? But anyway.
So is that something you guys are planning on selling then? Just an adapter with the SCART connection so people could use the Pi right on their RGB setup?
Ideas are spreading. Sure. The normal schedule was to release this project on early 2017. Now we are in November, so we are quite fast on this, and we are working very hard on the software to reach a stable. It's stable, but we have to make some documentation and so on, and then hopefully we will release it into open source, and then we make some add-ons like a SCART connector and so on, and thinking about an interface. I don't know.
This is very cool, and this is a big deal for me because I've been trying for years to make a very good arcade machine, and I had for a while a Mortal Kombat machine with a Windows PC, and my day job is computer tech, so I was actually able to build a Windows embedded image that was locked down very tight, and it was great. It was pretty solid, but the problem was anytime one of my friends said, "Hey, can you build me one too?" Now I had to start completely from scratch, import a whole new set of drivers, get it all. And so with the Raspberry Pi, it's such an awesome thing because it's universal and people all over the world are using the same set of hardware. So everybody could just contribute and help. And also it's so small. So I had a full size, a full Windows tower sitting in the bottom of my arcade machine. And I think I ran, forgot what, Mala, and then I tried the Big Blue front end, which was great. But this is exactly what I was hoping for. Somebody could just buy this and then buy whatever adapter they need. If I ever, hopefully I'll get another arcade machine, just buy this. I'll put a Jamma switch in to go between the original, whatever arcade and this one, wire up everything. I mean, it probably is at least, it would save hours of setup time for me. It would probably go from 4 hours to 1 hour, if not, faster than that. So this is really cool. And to also have people, I know a lot of people that have RGB monitors, and you can't afford to buy every single arcade board that you want. You buy your favorite, and then you still want to play the rest. So just having one solution like this to be able to play on a PVM, and then through those arcade sticks, you could still buy the serial port arcade sticks, so you don't have to worry about USB lag. They're directly in. So having a solution like that would be phenomenal.
Yep. Absolutely. We have some arcade museums around and some collectors here. So it's not, the arcade museums have about 30 to 40 cabs to maintain, or some collectors have about, I don't know, 30 cabs and so on. And it's very difficult to maintain these ones. And sure, Windows PCs are possible, but we have always to adapt the OS operating system to the current hardware and so on and so on. You can make an image, import the image, but the Raspberry Pi is perfect. It's cheap, it has a stable hardware release. You can use the images and so on and so on.
Yeah, it's open source, so it's totally legal to just post your image and share it with the community. So it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And currently, we have wired this controls directly to the GPIOs to have zero lag. Also, the game feeling with this PCB is absolutely close to the original arcade hardware. That's really announced here once again. And I'm normally collecting myself arcade PCB. I have 150 PCBs or something like that, and it's really close to it. And so now I'm keeping the arcade PCB in my cupboard and maintain them, and when I want to play, I can use that one. And as you see, for me, it's the booting time very important. When I want to play, I want to play. So I do not want to wait for a Windows PC to boot up 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or something like that. But with this booting capability of 5 to 10 seconds, it's quite awesome. Turn on the cap, off the cap. Through the capability of the USB sticks, that the ROMs are on the USB sticks. I have never had an SD card FS failure. This happens mostly on contributions, which I worked very much with the SD cards and read-write operation and so on. If turned off on my cap 200 times, then it's not happening one time that I have a file system error. So this is working really, really cool. No?
Yeah. How do you find lag is on the Raspberry Pi through MAME? Because I've had very good luck with it, and I seem to be pretty sensitive to lag. Like, I was just playing the NES Classic that came out a few weeks ago, and I mean, it was very noticeable how bad it was. But even just playing in 1080p on my Plasma, I found that Raspberry Pi MAME lag is very minimal. I mean, I was impressed at how low it was.
Also, I never heard about the lag of the NES Mini, but sadly to her.
Yeah.
Because for me, when someone is used for the game, and we are retro gamers, we are used to the game since decades. This means we are trained on the games. And the more we are trained on the games, that's more noticeable as the lag. So lag is a very good argument for game feeling.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, especially the fact that you'd be playing through a CRT lowers the lag even more. So I think, what is the Raspberry Pi MAME? I think somebody said they got it down to about a frame and a half of lag. Is that true?
I don't know.
Well, all I know is that I don't notice it at all when I'm playing. Even my Plasma TV has about 2 frames of lag, and I barely notice anything, if at all. So they're doing a great job on that.
I've heard now from customers who reported about game feeling that it's very responsive, and so for me also the gameplay normal. I have in this Quadro cap, I have the capability of running 4 games in time. This means there's a Jamma switcher for 4 PCBs, and I've made the comparison to the PE2 Jamma with the Raspberry versus the original PCBs, and honestly, I could not see any.
That's really good news. That's really good to hear. Because when I was first experimenting with my Windows PC, I had a Mortal Kombat arcade machine, and I was switching back and forth, and and I was just playing with the configurations, but some of the configurations I was doing, you could definitely notice lag. But once I got Groovy MAME set up and everything, it got, I couldn't notice it anymore. So it's good that you did a side-by-side test like that. Really, it's the real-world test.
That's what I mind. It's a very individual feeling about lag. No? It doesn't interest me about 20 milliseconds, 25 milliseconds or something. When I'm experienced lag, then there is lag there. No? So this is only training. No? So if you're a player for 30 years, Street Fighter or something like that, you will notice one frame lag, of course. No?
Yeah, very true. Well, thank you very much for doing the interview. This was very cool, and I've been following your stuff since I got into gaming again, and I'll keep everybody informed every time you guys have something new that you're releasing. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Every time again.
Cool. Take care, Jochen. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Ciao.